Sometimes I would be like, you know what, I have to just leave my lesson for right now and focus on just that social aspect of building that relationship and making sure that they're getting the emotional support that they need in these times. So, and I think that goes for adults too. I think I can say the same for myself as a teacher. Those days where my kids would not be in the class, it felt like they would go on forever. And I would just feel very alone in my classroom, you know, working on grading or planning. And now that they're back, I've noticed how much I was missing on those 2 days a week when I didn't have the students in the class.
Interesting. Yeah, that's definitely an interesting thought that, I mean, I've considered, but as a teacher, how difficult it is already, and then you don't have that connection device that exists with, I'm a parent. I know with my kids, like, I couldn't imagine parenting them over Zoom, or, you know, having, you know, not being there, not being able, you know, them not knowing I love them, because every now and again I can rub their back or I can hug them. So, how have you adjusted to that? And I know with the work that we've done, we've you know, had to put COVID. I did a lot of air quotes this show. Doing the COVID policy, just so people feel safe, and you know, so it considers everybody, and it deals with things. But we've had to do things so I personally, my mental health's okay, and those in our program's mental health's okay. What have you done to try to deal with that? And I turn the same question to you after her, Mr. Gores. Thank you.
Well, I think first and foremost, it's about making sure you can be a strong, stable person for your kids. And that means taking care of yourself. So for me, I do a few exercises in the morning, like I'll go for a run or do some yoga just to get my head level. And there's been times, especially as a teacher, I feel like we don't go into this profession if we aren't willing to make a lot of sacrifices for children. And sometimes I find it hard to strike that balance between where I'm giving the children what they need, but also taking the time I need for myself. Because as a teacher, you can spend all your time working on your lessons or working on what you're going to do the next day, or grading, or even having a one-on-one conversation with your student during your lunch break and making sure they're okay because they looked sad today. There's a lot of those kind of sacrifices that need to be made. So I think in terms of taking care of myself first has been a lesson that I've learned this year, that I have to do that in order to be ready to be the best teacher I can be for my kids.
Yeah.
Well, I fully agree with what Ms. Stevens said. The thing is, we have to take care of ourselves first. The parent entrusts us with their most precious, and I don't know if it sounds right or wrong, possession. I don't know quite well how to put it in English, but we take care of their kids in that class environment for about 8 hours.
Fair. In context, I think that's fair.
Yeah, in context. It is in context. Yeah. So if we don't provide a safe environment, if we are not ready for whatever is facing the class at any given time, then we fail the students. For me, this adjustment for COVID as a person, it doesn't affect my life all that much. It is just another thing that I feel like we go through. In a way, I think it's a good thing that mankind does go through these things. It prepares us for any other challenges. The students obviously are rattled, are dazzled, are not sure what to do and what to think. So us being there every day for them, and yes, academically, obviously, it's also important, but then slowly open that conversation up with them about these topics, what is going on in their life, that creates a bond that at this point is probably the most important one, that if we don't build these now, then we'll never be able to connect to this generation ever again.
Sure. Well, thank you so much, Mr. Gores and Mrs. Stevens, for coming on the Common Good Radio Show.